Hello, and welcome to Reality TV News Update, where you'll find the most recent news, entertaining moments, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Fans debated alliances, blindsides, and the emotional toll of living in the television show's most-watched house after Big Brother 27 ended. One of the most compelling characters of the season was Keanu Soto, whose calm demeanor, strategic patience, and occasional glimpses of vulnerability made him one of the most talked-about house guests. Keanu opens up about his game, the moments that viewers didn't see, and how the experience changed him long after the live feeds went dark in an exclusive post-season interview with Parade's Mike Bloom. Getting into the house quietly. Keanu was aware from the moment he entered the Big Brother house that he would not be the loudest person there. He acknowledges that was deliberate in his interview. Keanu tells Bloom, "I've always been someone who observes first. I was aware that I would immediately create a target for myself if I arrived with all my might. My strategy was to listen, gradually establish trust, and allow other people to underestimate me. That approach worked, at least at first." Keanu found himself in the background, absorbing information and forming one-on-one connections, despite the larger personalities clashing early on. He claims that those initial conversations served as the foundation for his strategy in the middle of the game. He claims, "People talked to me because I wasn't threatening. They felt comfortable venting to me. That was my true strength." Navigating alliances and betrayals. Keanu's social skills started to come into their own as the weeks went on. He aligned himself loosely with multiple groups rather than locking in to one rigid alliance, a move that earned him both protection and suspicion. One of the hardest parts was knowing when to commit and when to stay flexible, Keanu explains. "There were nights I lay awake thinking, am I doing too much or not enough?" When Keanu voted against an ally that he had promised to protect, Bloom presses him on it. The incident shocked viewers and sparked heated online debate. Keanu acknowledges, "That vote still weighs on me. However, I was forced to choose between my loyalty and my survival at that very moment. I did not enter the house to engage in a game of perfect morality. Rather, I came to play Big Brother." He goes on to say that the decision was not as icy as it seemed on television. There were tears that were not included in the editing. People never saw the conversations that followed. It was difficult. The unseen reality of live feed life. Keanu claims that the real Big Brother experience took place on the live feeds and in the long, quiet hours between competitions, despite that the televised episodes captured the highlights. He tells Bloom, "You don't realize how loud silence can be. There is no music, phone, or escape. You can't move without your thoughts and the same people all the time." Keanu reveals that mental exhaustion became one of his biggest challenges. Even minor disagreements felt overwhelming when there was no private space to process them. He states, "There were days when I smiled in front of the camera but felt completely drained. I learned a lot about my emotional limits in that house." The moment of truth in his game. Keanu was at a crossroads midway through the season. He was vulnerable due to his defeat in the head of household competition, and rumors of a backdoor strategy began to circulate. Keanu explains, "That was the moment I realized I had to step out of the shadows. I couldn't just be the listener anymore. I had to start directing the conversation." While establishing himself as a necessary number, he began staking out subtly seeded areas, encouraging others to take action against larger threats. It was a risky move, but one that ultimately kept him safe for several crucial weeks. He laughs and says, "I started playing chess instead of checkers. At the very least, that was the aim." Relationships that meant the most. Keanu doesn't hesitate when asked about the bonds that meant the most to him. He attributes the control of the chaos to a small group of house guests. He says, "There were people who saw me beyond the game." Those are the relationships I hope last outside the house. Bloom brings up a particularly emotional moment when Keanu broke down in the diary room expressing fear about disappointing his family. Keanu acknowledges that he felt pressure all season long. He says, "I carried my family with me every day. I said, I wanted them to be proud of me for how I treated people and how far I went." Observing him on television, Keanu's experience of watching his journey unfold on screen was surreal. Like many former house guests, he struggled with the disconnect between his lived reality and the edited narrative. He asserts, "At times I thought, wow, that's how it looked?" You forget that people only see an hour of your week. His restraint and thoughtfulness were praised by some fans, but others criticized him for not doing more flashy moves. Keanu takes it all in stride. He states, "Everyone has an opinion, and that's okay. If you mattered, if people are talking about you." The end, reputation, criticism, and growth. After Big Brother, life has been a blur. Keanu describes feeling both excited and overwhelmed upon returning to the real world. He says, "Your phone explodes. Strangers think you know you. It's flattering, but it's also strange." He's been touched by messages from fans who related to his quieter approach to the game. He describes, "People told me they felt seen. That was absolutely crucial." He acknowledges the sting of criticism. At the same time, he acknowledges, "You'd be lying if you said it doesn't hurt sometimes. However, I keep in mind why I played the way I did." Would he take a different approach? When Bloom asks the inevitable question, what would he change if he could do it all over again, Keanu pauses. He concludes by saying, "I think I would trust my instinct sooner. I held back at times because I didn't want to upset the ship. In Big Brother, sometimes the move is to rock the boat." He maintains his overall approach, however. "I played honestly, strategically, and with heart. I can live with that." Looking toward the future. As for what comes next, Keanu is keeping his options open. He smiles and says, "I'm not closing any doors. This experience showed me I'm capable of more than I thought." He also hopes his journey inspires others who don't see themselves as the stereotypical reality TV archetype. Keanu asserts, "You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to make an impact. Sometimes strength looks like listening." A long-term remark. Keanu Soto's Big Brother 27 journey may not have been defined by explosive arguments or over-the-top theatrics, but it left a lasting impression on fans who appreciated nuance and strategy. Keanu sounds exactly like he did in the house when he was talking to Mike Bloom, thoughtful, reflective, and quietly confident. Keanu's story serves as a reminder that there is more than one way to win Big Brother, and more than one way to leave a lasting impression as the dramatic season of Big Brother 27 came to an end. Viewers were left pondering each and every house move, alliance, and emotional moment. Keanu Soto, a house guest who stood out for his quiet confidence, thoughtful gameplay, and emotional honesty, was one of the most intriguing players. Keanu talks about his time in the house, the strategy behind his decisions, and how the experience changed him in a post-season interview with Parade's Mike Bloom. An understated entry with a purpose. Keanu was aware from the start that he would not dominate the house with volume or showmanship. Instead, he chose something more subtle. "I went in knowing I wasn't the loudest person," Keanu tells Bloom. "My ability to listen and observe has always been my strongest. I wanted people to be comfortable around me." Initially, that strategy paid off. Keanu quietly developed relationships, one conversation at a time, while the other house guests fought and attracted attention. He developed into a confidant's ear and trusted confidant. He explains that information is currency in Big Brother, and people gave me a lot of it because they didn't see me as a threat. Loyalty and survival in balance. Keanu found himself in a precarious position as alliances were formed and broken up. He maintained connections throughout the house rather than joining a single dominant group. While that flexibility kept him safe, it also forced him into difficult choices. When Keanu voted in opposition to a person he had previously promised to protect, it was one of the most contentious moments of the season. Fans were shocked by the move, but Keanu says it was never easy to make. That was one of the hardest nights in the house, he admits. The author states, "I knew it would hurt someone I cared about, but I also knew my game was in jeopardy." He emphasizes that the emotional aftermath was not adequately depicted on television. There were real conversations, real apologies, and real tears that didn't make the edit. The mental costs of living in the Big Brother house. Keanu discusses strategy in addition to the mental challenges of living there. The lack of privacy, constant monitoring, and monotonous routine all had a negative impact. He asserts, "You don't realize how intense it is until you're living it. There is no place to flee. Even in silence, it seems loud." Keanu acknowledges that there were times when he struggled internally while remaining calm on the outside. "I wanted to stay composed, but there were days I felt completely drained." As a result of those experiences, he had to confront his emotional limits and develop new coping mechanisms. "I learned how resilient I can be," he reflects. A crucial moment in the game. Midway through the season, Keanu realized his low-profile strategy could only take him so far. After losing a crucial competition and hearing his name whispered as a potential target, he knew it was time to change gears. "That was my wake-up call," he says. "I couldn't just be the observer anymore." Keanu began to play more actively, subtly directing conversations, inspiring others to move, and establishing himself as a reliable number rather than the primary decision-maker. He elaborates, "It wasn't about controlling everything. It was about having an impact at the right times." Relationships beyond the game. According to Keanu, the relationships were more important than the competition. He formed bonds that went deeper than strategy, providing emotional support during the game's toughest moments. "There were people who made me feel like who I was outside the house," he says. "That kept me grounded." Keanu's anxiety about disappointing his family was made clear in a particularly moving scene in Diary Room. "It was difficult to watch it again. I carried my family with me every day," he relates. "Instead of being content with how far I got, I wanted them to be proud of how I played." Observing the season develop. Keanu had a bizarre experience when he watched Big Brother 27 on television. He, like many house guests, was taken aback by how certain events were depicted. He states, "You live it in one way and then you see it edited in another way. It's a reorientation." His calm and calculated approach was praised by some, but others wished he had taken more risks. Keanu is open to both points of view. He states, "I respect the opinions of the fans. The game is watched differently by everyone." The aftermath of Big Brother. Since leaving the house, Keanu has been navigating the sudden shift into the public eye. The interest has been overwhelming and exhilarating. He chuckles, "Your phone doesn't stop buzzing. There is a lot to take in." Messages from fans who connected with his quieter personality meant the most to him. He says, "People told me they felt represented. That was really powerful." Lessons and the future. Keanu reflects when asked what he would do differently. "I'd trust myself sooner," he admits. "There were moments I played it too safe." He still adheres to his overall strategy. "I played with honesty and purpose. This is significant to me." Keanu is still open to new opportunities in the future, whether they come from advocacy, the media, or even a brand new reality TV adventure. He says, "This experience changed me. It showed me that you don't have to be loud to be strong." A subtle impact. Keanu Soto's journey through Big Brother 27
demonstrates that subtlety and spectacle can work just as well together. Through thoughtful gameplay, emotional honesty, and quiet resilience, he left a lasting mark on the season. Keanu comes across not only as a former house guest in Mike Bloom's interview, but also as a reflective competitor whose story continues long after the cameras stop rolling.